Hello, friends. Welcome to On the Fives. I am your host, Nicole. And as you just saw, I am part of the Red Five Network. I run the Red Five Reading Book Club, and I absolutely love it. Not only am I a part of a wonderful network, we have many wonderful podcasts that you can find on the bio link /Red Five. We have many varieties, as well as a Dungeons and Dragons group and Red Five Reading. We are currently reading Dracula, which I absolutely love. And next month and the following, we're actually going to be reading Skipping Christmas. And 2025 is ramping up. I'm so excited because we're going to be reading in January Eruption by Michael Crichton and James Patterson. It's going to be a great 2025, as well as some Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis and so much more. Stay tuned because November 5th is coming up, and that marks the 1-year anniversary since On the Five. So we have lots more coming. I'd like to say hello to the chat. It is great to see you, Baldo, Megan, and everybody else that's lurking. And I'm so excited because tonight I am going to be with my fellow nerd sister, Red Fiver, and she is an author. She podcasts. She is who I call my Wonder Woman, because that's what I call her. She's Wonder Woman to me. I'd like you guys to all say hello to her and make her feel welcome. Miss Danny Sanchez of Comics and Everything, although I still call it cosmetics once in a while.
I know, it's fine. Everybody does. And okay, so fun fact, this sounds so pretentious to say. It really does, but it's truth. I have an agent, and he's big mad at me because I changed from Comics and Cosmetics to Comics and, because he says when I search you on IMDb, everything else comes up. But if you had something at the end of it, I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to rebrand again. It was a nightmare.
Oh. Megan was expecting you to do some makeup. Well,
I'm sorry. Listen.
She's Wonder Woman, people. What do you expect? Her to do the lasso and woohoo! There it is.
Look, the Halloween stuff I do is probably way too over the top, and it's exhausting. When I did the vampire one, that was my first time doing full face prosthetics.
Ooh.
And the next day I was completely wiped. I mean, completely wiped. I was so exhausted. I don't know how the creature actors do it. I don't, because I was wiped. And then last week when I did the Vulcan one, there was an incident, which you know about. You're in the circle of trust. There was an incident. And so now I'm like, listen, I can handle one more look for Halloween. And then good Lord, I need to calm down because I'm tired.
You know, I was kind of thinking, though, maybe I should do something up special for Wednesday night.
You should.
I'm our last one.
I think I'm going to do my last look. I think I'm going to do something very associated with the show.
Me too. I was thinking something maybe we've already done and revisit that and see how much I can remember. Maybe.
Okay.
Although there are some things I have definitely questions on, because I have a product that I'm just trying to figure out, I want to use it. How the hell do I? And I just kind of want to talk about fun comics at the same time, because that's just what we do.
I think you might know a guy.
I think we do too. I'm glad you're fine.
I'm so not fine. I'm so devastated and heartbreaking. No, you're not. You're watching On the Fives, Joseph.
Yeah. Get it right. Oh, by the way, hello, Podfather. So much fun. So how you been doing?
Well, other than the incident of which we do not speak of, I'm doing good. Tired because I'm old, but I'm good.
You're not old.
You know, I heard somewhere you're as old as you feel, and I feel old right now, so that's what I'm sticking with.
Fair enough.
How are you?
Okay. It's been it's been a rough week. So, I mean, family wise, but
Yeah.
counting my blessings every day and finding those silver linings every day, being grateful. Like, I feel like I'm already started the Thanksgiving season, so to speak. I've kind of launched myself beyond.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm
don't know.
kind of
There's
dreading
something
it.
about when you go through, and I think you know this firsthand, when you're
Mhm.
going through certain things or see certain things, all of a sudden your perspectives change.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you might go, am I living my life to the fullest? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? What else can I do? And all of a sudden, and you're grateful for
Hmm.
everything because all of a
And
sudden, I'm not going to nitpick about this anymore because it's baby stuff,
anytime anything that pops up and reminds you of mortality, that
Mm-hmm.
reminds you that things are finite, pardon me, that really will cause your brain to kind of halt and reassess.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what's happened. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Life, man.
It does. So I don't know for some, and it's so weird because I'm coming up also on the anniversary of my grandma's passing and stuff. So all this is happening at the same time, and it's just one of those that I'm just like, I love Halloween, but I'm like, feel like all of a sudden I've been shot forward towards Thanksgiving
Right.
and Christmas already, just so I could feel that comfort and different things. So,
Well,
but
Christmas always leaves me with feelings of guilt and inadequacy. So
hmm,
I'm never excited about Christmas.
I don't know how we're going to turn that around, but somehow, some way.
Hey, when you're a single mom with 4 kids,
Well, not I had my one, but yeah,
everything was a struggle. Everything was
same,
difficult.
same.
And it just,
Even with one.
you know,
Mm-hmm. I get it. Although I only had one, it was when you don't have the support of the other.
yes,
And I don't mean just financial people, okay? We're talking about all of it. Like,
right. You're
it's
not getting a
really hard.
break, ever
No,
break, ever.
no.
And then when, the situation I was in, I didn't exactly have the support of my family either. I was literally just out there with 4 kids by myself, with me having health issues on top of it all.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And then Christmas would roll around and you'd feel really bad because, they got friends with 2-parent homes that are giving them these blowout Christmases, and
Mm-hmm.
my kids are
We
like, I got a guitar from the pawn shop. Woo.
Hey,
Like,
guitars are depending on the kind can be
I
like.
thought it was a pretty dope gift. I
I
mean,
was just gonna say, I think that's a pretty awesome gift. I'm like, you give me a guitar, I don't care if it's from a pawn shop or not. It's a guitar. So,
right,
um,
right.
but I get what you're saying because I've been there.
Mm.
I have been there. So, anywho, let's go ahead and do a quick fun round of this or that. But we're gonna do this a fun, spooky Halloween edition today. Kind of get us into the spirit of vampires and all that jazz. All right, we're gonna start off a little simple, a little easy. Okay, we're just gonna talk candy for a second.
Ugh.
Milky Way or Snickers?
Milky Way.
Ooh. When I was a kid, that was me. But as an
Mhm.
adult, I don't know why I switched to Snickers.
Your taste buds change
They did.
and your mouth sensitivity deadens a little bit.
Totally.
So we handle peanuts and stuff better. It's a weird fact, but
Mm-hmm.
we get less sensitive.
Aw. All right. Scary movies or ghost stories?
Ghost stories.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right. Let's see here. Would you rather go to a hay maze or a haunted house?
Haunted
Ooh.
house.
Oh, there we go. I was about to say, I'm like, or do you want to make it ever been to a haunted cornfield hay maze?
I live in Southeast Missouri. There's one right across the street.
Yeah, we have one not that far. Go at night. Man. It's some fun. All right. Would you rather attend a huge Halloween party or just have a cozy, spooky movie night in?
that's actually kind of difficult because inside I'm like, oh, dude, I haven't been to a Halloween party in so long. I love Halloween parties. I love
We
dressing
should
up,
demo for Red 5.
obviously. Like, yeah, I would love to do that. Let's go. But then the old person inside me is like, but people, like, but all of those people, do you really want to be in a giant crowd of people at
Mhm.
wanting to talk? No.
I like this answer though. It's like a nice
That's a
mix.
little better. Yeah.
Small
That's a
party
little better.
with friends. Sometimes those small parties though can feel as big as the big parties, depending
They
on
can.
how you do it.
They
Oh,
can.
here we go. Movie night handing out candy. Do we get any? I
But
know you both. He always
what-
provides.
That's what I'm trying to talk Dave into on Halloween. Like,
Handing out candy?
let's hand out candy. And he's like, yeah, I got it. No one's gonna come to our house. I'm like, there are kids on our street. Like, yeah, we live in the country, but there are kids on the
Yeah.
street. Like, why
Mhm.
not? It'd be fun. And he's
Mhm.
like, but then I have to go buy candy.
I've been buying for the last few weeks as I see it on sale. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm game. All right. So let's see here. Would you rather carve a pumpkin or paint a pumpkin?
Carve.
Carve. And don't put any bleach on it, people. Put it out in nature. Let the animals eat.
Yeah, Amelia and her boyfriend carved pumpkins, and the very next day, our house was filled with gnats, even though they were on the front porch. So I was like, yeah, those are getting burned. Done. You got pumpkins that were overripe.
All right. Let's finish out with Okay. For the scary movies, do you prefer like a thriller suspense or are you more like blood and gore?
I don't like blood and gore, really. I feel like it's kind of an excuse. It's they're trying to make up for lack of plot or writing or acting or whatever, so they go for shock value. So I like more spooky, suspenseful, like ghost stories and stuff like that. So
I'm not really into zombie movies.
I think I'm just a little, I don't know if I should say this because I'm supposed to work on a zombie movie next month.
She said nothing at all. She's
I said nothing. I love doing zombie makeup, but there's so many. There's just so many, you know, and they've all been done pretty much every which way. So it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, we've seen this. Let's move on. Yeah. Which seems to be an epidemic in Hollywood as it is, like lack of ability to come up with anything original. So.
Right? What is happening with originality?
You know, Hollywood? They're doing
what is going on?
They are doing a oh crap. The name of it just fell right out of my head. Cruel Intentions. They're doing a Cruel Intentions series.
Why?
Like, what?
Why? What's the point?
You literally have no other thought, nothing else, no other ideas to put on film. Like, I've got at least a dozen. Call me. I'll give you 5 for free.
I can't believe they're going to do Cruel Intent. It's like, what's the point? Like,
and have you seen the kids these days? Like, every last one of them are basically the plot of Cruel Intentions. So, like,
yeah,
not helping. No.
Bank on what you know. That's what's happening to the originals. Yeah, but originality is so important. But then you get the stuff that is being original, and then it goes into the movie theaters, and nobody's going to see it because they're kind of like, meh.
They're not giving them a real reason to go. You know.
I heard Wild Robot was good.
It is. Wild Robot is good.
That's original.
It is. It's very original. Yeah. It made me cry. Like David falling asleep on the couch while I was watching it. And then he wakes up looking at me sniffling. He's like, did the robot movie make you cry? I'm like, yes, shut up. Like, so good. So good.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle recently, when I talked to them the other day, they're like, oh, we went to see Wild Robot, and it was good. And I was like, duly
Listen,
noted.
at some point, the robot has a right wooden leg. Okay.
Aww.
And it just, I need
You're
to
like,
mute my mic a little bit. Yes.
why did they take my personal life and put it on the big screen? Did you call them and say, I want rights to this film?
If I did that, I would have to do that to just about any other film or TV show where someone loses a foot or a leg and they get a new one because it's always the right leg. It's always the right leg.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It just is.
And so beyond you are being a busy mom and podcasting, in your last decade or so, you wrote a book.
That was actually almost 20 years ago. That's my book. Yeah, it was 2006. I actually wrote it around 2004, 2005, and it came out in 2006. I was a baby.
Say, I'm like, how's that? That's 18 years. And you're like, oh, but I wrote it in 2004, 2006. Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to write Vampire Slayer?
Oh, okay. So I would walk my son to school every day. And I had just had my daughter, Emma. Mm-hmm. So I had 3 kids, and I would pile them all in this double stroller and walk Ashton to school. And as I would walk, this line would just kind of repeat in my head, and my mind would just kind of wander, like daydreaming while I'm walking the kids to and from. And the first line that she stamped her foot and up it flew. She stamped her foot and up it flew. And I don't know, from there, and it would just grow every day, to the point where this thought was driving me crazy, and I had to put it on paper, so to speak. I had to get it out. And I remember telling my ex-husband, like, I think I'm going to write a book. And he's like, yeah, okay. Whatever. And that's what happened. Like, I think more subconsciously, pardon me, I'm so sorry. What got me subconsciously was stuff I was dealing with. Mm-hmm. Because the book is me. I mean, you've read it, at this point, the book is me. It's mm-hmm. me dealing with certain aspects of my life. And I didn't notice until I was virtually done with the thing, when I was coming up with the ending, I realized that it was me. And so that led me to know exactly how I needed to end it. But just these little, I don't know, like my subconscious shaking hands with my conscious mind saying, we've got some stuff we need to work out. And I think mm-hmm. this is how we're going to do it. And by the time I sat down at the keyboard, it fell out in about 6 months. Like, it just was like, word vomited onto the keyboard. I'm telling you, the whole thing was fueled by hot tea and music. Mm-hmm. That's very true. Mark Twain said that. And mm-hmm. that's exactly what I did. The whole book, I wrote what I do. So I just.
You said that this book then is about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just going to make a guess.
Uh-huh.
Go for it. Are you basically, are you Emma?
I'll say yes.
Or am I close? Am I close?
Oh,
or are you
there? I'm all of them.
Okay.
I'm everyone in that book.
So Emma, you're just different characteristics.
Yeah. Emma is my tenacity, my ferocity, my anger, my pain, my trauma. Mm-hmm. She is probably the loudest parts of me. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jimmy, who
Mhm.
is very much inspired by my late brother.
Mhm.
And one of the greatest things I ever heard was at his memorial, his girlfriend, because I was crying, I said, I never got to tell him really that was him. And she said, he knew. Like, he knew that was him. I was like, oh, God. Oh, it meant so much. But Jimmy, not only based on my brother, who was an engineer and absolutely brilliant, but Jimmy's also my intelligence. He's my sense of responsibility, my very nerdy side, and my love, my sense of devotion and loyalty.
Mhm.
And then you have Layla, who
I can ask you.
I think she might be my favorite. I don't know, but Layla is my sense of humor,
Mm.
my sardonic and sarcastic wit. Um, she is my lust, my kind of more how I'd like to be in a sense, a little bit more she's my confident. Well, I'm not confident. I wish I was confident. Um, that is that's what Layla is.
Mhm.
And then you have all these other things that happened. They're things that have happened to me or I've experienced, and it's all metaphor. Like,
Mhm.
you would be amazed how many times I've had to say that in my life. Like, it's a metaphor. Metaphor. But things
Mhm.
about myself that I want to eliminate to enlighten myself or to be a
Mhm.
happier person. So,
Mhm. I was going to ask you the question about how you came up with the various names, but I feel like we've already talked about it in a sense. That's what I was like, because I did know. I'm like, okay, Emma, your daughter Emma, and
mhm.
and Jimmy. I was just like, okay,
Jimmy is named after
your brother.
my son. Well, no, my brother's name is Stephen.
Okay,
Stephen Richard. My dad's middle name is James. My grandfather's first name is James, and my son's middle name is James. So
ah,
James is an important name.
name.
Layla is Clapton.
I was going
Um,
to ask you. I'm like, is Layla because Layla? The only time I ever hear Layla is
Layla.
the song, and I've only met
Got
one
my
Layla in
name.
my life, and it was
Well,
a young
Layla is and also I think it's an Indian, like, or is it Arabian? Well, I think it's in A
girl.
1001 Nights,
Mhm.
and there's a story about Layla. There's this love story, but that's where Clapton got it, and he wrote the song about George Harrison's wife that he had fallen in love with.
Oh, I know, Patty Boyd. I got
Um,
that book. I have to still read it though.
but I was
Perspective.
sitting at my desk. I'm like, what am I naming this person? And I looked over, and there was this like tag or something. I can't quite remember what it was, but it said "Strange Bedfellows" on it, and I was like, it sounds like a British name, Bedfellows or Fellows.
Bedfellows.
Fellows. So I was like, Lila Fellows. There she is. That's her name. But I named, like, at the very end of the book, there's another character that's introduced. His last name is Kessler.
Kessler.
My second son, my youngest son, his name is Kessler.
Mhm.
So everyone is named for someone.
Mhm.
Kind of like my children.
Mm. So, when you were writing the Vampire's Diaries, is there a reason why you chose vampires?
I
Or what?
love vampires. I always have. I'm a massive, massive vampire nerd. When I had my amputation when I was 14, I was homebound for almost a year.
Mhm.
And this is 1994 and 1995, folks. So there was no internet in my house. We barely had a cordless phone. Um,
It's true.
so, and I was always a big reader. I was into comic books. I loved novels. And
Mhm.
so finally, uh, I think the movie was coming out, Interview with the Vampire.
Mhm.
And my mom's like, "Well, I have all those books." And I was, "Ooh, can I read one?" And my mother, um, not very good at judging what's appropriate for your children to read and watch.
Mhm.
She's like, yeah, sure. Here's Interview with the Vampire. And I read that book in a day.
Oh, wow.
The next day, I'm like, I need another one. She's like, that's impossible. I'm like, nope, need another one. So I tore through all of the Vampire Chronicle books, probably in a week or two. But before that, I was a big fan of Christopher Pike. Not a lot of people know about Christopher Pike.
I do. I do.
The last
I
Vampire
had a bunch
series.
when I was a teenager. My granny gave them to me.
Yes, the last
VC
Vampire
Andrew.
series. She was that I loved those books. Like I would read them so much. My grandfather was like, I'm afraid you're going to hurt your eyeballs. I need you to put that book down. But there's this one scene where I can't even remember the lead character's name anymore. But the lead character was this beautiful blonde vampire, and she's in a bathroom and she smashes someone's head against the tile. And it was so vivid to me that the next thing I knew, I was like this in my bed. And then I realized what I was doing. I'm like, oh, it's in my head. Those are just words. I'm just, but I read all those. Then my mom gave me Anne Rice, and I read all those. Starting from the age of like 8, 9 years old, I had to be a vampire every year for Halloween. Every year. I was never anything else. So I just huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan.
Okay.
Massive.
I love the movie.
I love the movie. That's how I got started on it. Was
and I remember the first time we turned on this TV show, my parents were like, "That's not Buffy."
I was 17.
I was like, "That's not our Buffy," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I was 17 years old when Buffy the Vampire Slayer premiered on the WB Channel 11 in St. Louis.
Channel 9 for us.
And I remember watching it that night. Like, I was really looking forward to it. I made sure I was home. Listen, I was a 17-year-old girl with very lackadaisical parents when it came. They just wanted me out of the house, kind of situation. Like, just go, please, God, you're talking all the time. I was home when Buffy came on. I was home. And I remember exactly what I was wearing. I remember everything. And I was such a massive fan that when I got married, my ex-husband, for our first anniversary, gave me the first season of Buffy on DVD. And then he would buy me things like this book called Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Philosophy. And then he gave me another book called, it was the Vampire Encyclopedia.
Interesting.
And that's what, I don't know. It is an encyclopedia. Like, I still have it, a different version because I burned that one because he's a jerk. But that really carried a lot of water to the well of my book, we'll say. I'm telling you, I devoured everything about vampires. I can tell you about myths and legends all over the world. Every single culture on planet Earth has a vampire myth. Every single one.
I believe it.
That they have used this myth to alleviate their fears about dying. They have used these myths to explain deviant behavior and to warn against deviant behavior. They're fascinating. Like, I scratched my nose. Not even thinking. Here we go. Like, I'm just a vampire nerd. See, it would have been so much easier if that's all I said, but I had to give you like the whole picture, like vampire nerd.
I have to ask you though, because you mentioned Christopher Pike. So again, my granny was a big reader. And I got the reading bug very early in life, which is a good thing. I was a huge reader, opposite of my parents. And so I'd go over to my granny's house and she would have the Christopher Pike. She also had V.C. Andrews. V.C. Andrews wrote Flowers in the Attic in that series. Did you read those or were you all vampires?
Never, ever was I ever into books that weren't based on the supernatural or total science fiction. Never. The only book I remember vividly reading that wasn't fantasy, sci-fi, or anything like that was
Mhm.
the Tina Turner autobiography. Like
Mm,
that's it.
that was good.
Well, I've read Little Women, obviously.
Little
I,
Women. Louisa.
it's a classic. You have to.
I love it. I'm like, no, I just love Louisa Alcott.
I
I've got her books.
was always a big sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural fan, which I guess explains why I became
What
one.
age? Right around the age of 8? You mentioned 8 when you started reading like the vampire.
Oh,
But what age do you think you started?
no, I wasn't. I was, I'd say, in middle school when I started reading like the real vampire books, and I was 14 when I started reading Anne Rice. But I think I was 10 or 11 when I started reading Stephen King. I told
Oh.
you my mother was like, here you go. Read Misery. How about Carrie?
Woo!
I've read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like I said, even when I got out of the hospital, I
Mhm.
wasn't exactly allowed to go out to recess with the other kids because I was on crutches and I had these big
Mhm.
devices with pins going through the bones of my leg.
Mhm.
I could not go out there, so I'd have to sit in the office in
Mhm.
school and read. Just sit there
Mhm.
during recess. So that's what I did. Even if I wasn't stuck in a hospital bed or my own bed, I was still reading. Like that's
Mhm.
all I did. I just kind of lived in my imagination, which now that I'm saying that out loud explains a lot.
Is there an author that like really inspired you the most?
Anne Rice.
Anne Rice.
Anne
Is she the
Rice.
one that also inspired you to write and to really like get out there and
My high school creative writing teacher who actually passed away this last year,
sorry to hear
he
that.
inspired. Yeah, he inspired a lot of his students. He was an amazing teacher. He was he was the guy that would say, you know what, everything you will retain from high school that you need in life can fit on an index card. I'm not going
Mhm.
to really give you guys a bunch of homework. This class is a discussion.
Mhm.
And
I love those kind of
he
teachers.
loved my writing and would give me like little assignments or would encourage me to do things, and he would read them and tell me what he thought. So when I published the book and I came back to Missouri, I when I published it, I was living in Hawaii, and then when I wrote it, it was in Hawaii. When it came out, I was living in Texas. So when I
Mhm.
came back to Missouri, finally, I ran into his wife, who was my French teacher
Mhm.
in high school. Um, I told her, and she was just, oh, he's gonna love that. But he was the one who told me when I was probably 15, 16 years old. He's like, you are a writer. You are you got something in there. In fact,
Mhm.
when Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out, I was sitting at my typewriter writing poems or short stories. Listen, I wrote poetry and it was terrible. It was so bad.
I had notebooks full.
I
I
had a
get it.
couple notebooks too, and I
The
finally
school.
asked my parents for a computer. I was like, I want a computer. And they got me a typewriter. I was like, not the same, Kathy. Not the same. But
I
yeah.
want to go back to Vampire Slayer for a moment because I am very curious. Because when I got to the final chapter, I'm like,
Mhm.
hold up, are we gonna get more? Because we end with if we don't find answers, there'll be no more. And I'm like, where's the next book?
So I did, like, as soon as I finished it and I was all proud, I'm laying my manuscript out on the table and I'm like, "Ah." And as soon as I did, I got the idea for the sequel. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go
Mhm.
again. So when I wrote and published that book, when I did my book tour, I was going through a lot. I
Right.
was in a very unhealthy, toxic, abusive relationship. And I so
Yeah.
getting out of it was very hard for so many reasons. One, I had 3 kids. I was 24 years old when I
Mhm.
wrote that book. 24, and I had 3 kids, and I was married and an army wife to someone who tore me down completely. I had zero confidence. He told me I could not survive on my own.
Oh,
I
hey,
needed
hey,
him
I
to
understand.
survive. And I was completely convinced that that was true.
Well,
Completely convinced. And it took me until about 2007 before I finally was free of it. Um, so then here I was, single mother with 3 kids, trying to start her life over. He kidnapped my kids for several months. I had no idea where they were.
mm,
And it took a long time to do anything. And then, in God's infinite wisdom and humor, I got pregnant with Amelia. I mean, total surprise, 100%. And let me tell you something. She is absolute living, walking proof of God's existence. She and that He has a plan. She really is. But here I am, single mom, 4 kids, health conditions that limit me, and I'm refusing to acknowledge that they're limiting me. I still would try to take time to sit and write that sequel down. And I had probably 300 pages of
mhm.
this written out. Like I had it printed out, it was nowhere near done. Um, but I had worked on it quite a bit. And then I got in another very toxic relationship, and he stole my computer and pawned it and destroyed my manuscript.
Oh no, that's awful. I am so sorry to hear that.
That was 2010,
Mm,
2011 that happened. So it hurt so bad that, and also, again, I was raising 4 kids by myself and I had zero support system. So it didn't give me the room to do it. Virginia Woolf said, "All a woman needs to be a writer is a quiet room and money."
mm,
I had neither. I had neither. So I couldn't, it just, honestly, he probably did me a favor. I don't think it was any good. I don't think it was any good at all. Um, I think I got a little bit overconfident, or, hubris. Dealt with some hubris there.
hubris.
So, Dave has encouraged me many times that he thinks I should just sit and write it out and maybe do it like age it as I have aged since it was me. Like now she's middle aged, she hasn't been in the game for a while, maybe she's had a kid or two, and then all of the sudden this problem did not go away and
Mhm.
she's got to get back in the game, and she's like, "Look, I'm tired." I'm tired. So, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. I would like to, because those characters are very personal to me.
Mhm.
They're very much, and I remember, like, I would sit and draw them. Like, I would draw my characters
Mhm.
because I wanted to see what they looked like. I designed the cover of that book. Like,
Mhm.
that's all me, baby. Um, yeah.
I love the baby doll.
So now the most important question that you have left me sitting with for a couple of months now, refused to tell me. What did you think of my book?
What have I thought of your book without giving away everything? Because I don't want, I want people who are listening, whether it's Megan Ubaldo or somebody down the road, I want them to go to Amazon or Thrift Books, and I want them to look up this book. However, very importantly, when you look up Vampire Slayer, make sure you add in 1 Foot in the Darkness, and then make sure you add in Danny A. Camden.
Yeah, Danny A. Camden.
Not Sanchez. Okay.
It's
Very important.
Sansa.
Vampire Slayer,
name.
1 Foot in Darkness. And if you need to reach out to me, you can reach out to me because that is important. I liked your book. I felt I could feel different things about you in this book because Star Trek, Marvel, Star Wars, and every time Wonder Woman, I'm like, there's Danny. There's Danny. Like, and that was my reaction. Then there's Danny. Like, I need a shirt that says, there's Danny. Here's my Wonder Woman.
Did you hear my voice narrating it?
I did. I could hear it, and I was just like, "You're not gonna tell her. You're gonna wait." I was gonna make you wait because once I would get to another part that I felt like I was connecting with you, I was just like, "There's Danny. There's Danny. I see her personality right there." And it's funny because when you were dressed up the other day as Trekkie, I was like, there's Danny. And I wanted to put there's Danny, but I'm just like, keep it.
I always say Trekker. If you notice,
Trekker.
I always say Trekker.
Trekker, not Trekkie.
He corrects her in the book. He corrects her. He says Trekker.
Trekker.
Trekkies actually believe they're on the ship. I'm a Trekker. I trek along with the show.
To me, she's Wonder Woman. Okay, she survives.
I don't know about all that.
She thrives. That's what Wonder Woman does.
So I don't care if you give spoilers. Okay, I don't. So just tell me what you liked about it. Tell me the parts you liked.
I love the fact that I could feel you and your writing. I feel like when I was reading that it was, I don't want to say it. It was good. It's like seeing you in another way. Because I could see you and I could feel, and I was just like, that's why I was like, when I was picking questions, when I was writing, thinking of these questions, I was like, where'd she was getting inspired? This has got to be from her own life. Some of this has got to be from her own life. Like, I just kind of like from the stuff that you and I have talked about, and whether it's been on podcasting or behind the scenes, just you and I chit-chatting, and I'm just like, this is her. This is more her than this is not memoir. And I know that Danny is not a real life vampire, but you never know. She could be a real slayer. She is. But like, I don't know. There was something in there just going that kept telling me like there's a lot more you than what people might expect. And those who are not expecting it might get a surprise and they might be like, oh yeah. But
I think
I'm like, Danny, there's Danny. So
I've always felt that, and Dave's never read it, and I keep trying to get him to. He's like, you should read it to me. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. But I yes, very much close. So. But I told Dave, I said, I think that if you read it, you might understand me a little better. The house they even live in, their basement is my dad's basement. That table that gets destroyed was a coffee table that belonged to my dad and my mother when they were married, but my dad kept. And I mean, he might still have it somewhere. And it really ticked my stepmother off that he still had this coffee table. Like, so I destroyed it in the book, and my stepmother was like, thank you. Thank you.
You really did. You put your life in this book, and I think again, because there are things that you and I have just talked about that I'm just like, again, that's what I kept thinking. There's Danny. Like, I love how Megan said this in the chat, and that's fictional memoir, and I can't agree anymore. Like,
who was your favorite character?
I feel like Layla. There's, again, I like that sass. There's just something, but I also like Jimmy. There's just little things. But, and then of course for me, I knew that your daughter's name was Emma. So I just kind of was just like just that little.
I basically wrote that book with her on my boob.
I mean, that's just where I kind of went like, So yes.
Okay. Favorite part, like favorite thing that or moment or whatever. I've never gotten to do this, so you made
Yeah,
me
but
wait months.
we don't want to give it all away.
We're not giving it all away. Just give me one thing. It's fine.
There's a part in the book that's talking about light. It's give her light to grow. I know that sounds, I love, there's something about light for me. Okay. You talked about something very deep tonight. And I appreciate it because I am myself also a survivor of domestic violence. Oddly enough, you and I have more in common than a lot of people realize. We're both single moms. We have both been married to military men. And when you are in so much darkness, hello, I hear you. Tiny, I hear you.
He's on the other side of the house. That's how loud he is right now. He's being a butthole. 10 minutes at 7:50, he decided to take off out the door and go booking it up to my father-in-law's house. And I'm like,
that's funny.
I can't have time for this.
That's funny. But yeah, there is something about having the importance of having light and finding light and having, that's why I'm like, even today when we start, I'm like, when we were talking about how our week's been, I'm trying to find silver linings. I'm trying to find, like, I'm just, because that to me is light in my life that brings happiness or shine and warmth. And I needed that.
It's a choice.
Exactly. And I am always looking for the light in the darkness, because when it gets so dark, it is so easy to get bogged down and just be depressed.
You forget.
Yes.
It envelops you,
and I'm like, done.
Exactly. And it listen, I am far from perfect and enlightened. Far from it. I backslide at least 3 times a day. I am the most obnoxious person I know. I complain constantly. I don't know why I do it. You know, I try to remind myself, like, listen, what are you complaining about? You just stop, okay? It's fine. There's always a tomorrow. There's always a next day after. And you know, this is a good conversation because it does remind me that in my youth, I did have a little bit of wisdom that, you know, happiness with oneself doesn't just happen. You have to choose it.
Right.
And that whole tagline of saving yourself can save the world really meant if I'm going to raise happy, healthy, well-adjusted children, I needed to take care of myself first. Not sure I did that. We'll find out. But that it's a choice, and it's a good reminder talking about this.
Right. And you know, even last week, well, I felt there were days like last week, I just felt like I was feeling like I was ready to explode. I don't like in the book you had mentioned, you know, feeling shaken like an exploding, you know, soda pop. Like you're just like somebody just shook you up, and that's just like last week. Before I walked into the hospital and saw my cousin in a state that I will forever remember to my dying day. And then just like that, it was just as if that something just settled straight flat, and boom. I don't know, for some odd reason, even in that type of moment, there was like some light, because all of a sudden it was just like the shaking was done. It's like I saw something else. I don't know. There's something. And I know, you know, when you've been in hospitals, you've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. And when you've been there, you do start seeing things differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really do. You really do.
You do.
So, I want to make sure Miss Megan had a question for you earlier. Oh, and I do encourage, if you ever do want to write that book, please let me know.
Oh, absolutely.
I kind of like,
this is all kind of inspiring me. So
I'm like,
who knows? Who knows?
Megan asked, even once the book was done, did you still hear the characters talking in your head, or once the story was over, was that it for them?
No, they still lived. They still lived. They're those characters are very, very, very real to me. Very real. Um, they exist in whatever reality exists in my head. I do still hear them. I hear Layla right now. You know, I love Layla. I won an award for Layla. I forgot about that.
Ooh, do tell.
Most it was some online. That's how it started. I started putting chapters online. I can't even remember the name of the forum, but they ended up shutting the whole thing down. But I won some online award back in 2004, 2005 for best character. It was Layla. Oh man, I totally
I
forgot
would
about
think
that.
it would have been Emma, but Layla is the one that began.
Layla's a scene. Well, no. All three of them began. Emma and
Right.
Jimmy. It began that way.
Okay.
But Layla, I won the award for because she's a scene stealer. She's a
Well,
total scene stealer.
I was like, I got confused. I'm like, wait, did
But
you like?
no.
I wasn't sure if you like start like
No. But no, those characters are still very much a part of me. Very real. Like I said, after I published the book, I was drawing pictures of them. And while I wrote it, I would hear them. Like it was almost like I was writing to find out what was going to happen next. It was like almost like it was my favorite show kind of thing. I was binging it. So I would just write and write and write. I'd get 10, 20, 30 pages a day out just living with these characters in this world. And my ex would complain that I wasn't cleaning the house or servicing him in whatever way he needed me to. Like, I take care of this, do this. I was just writing and I heard them in my head. I heard their voices, not my voice. I hear their voices. I see them very clearly in my mind's eye. So,
just for fun, since I did hear Tiny, would Tiny ever get a part in a future book or his
of course he would. I'll make him like a little demon dog or something. Something that morphs, you know.
Like murderous bear.
Oh no, he'll be like, he could be like Jimmy's pet, or no, he's Layla's pet. He's 100% Layla's pet. He's sassy just like she is. And he could morph into like a Kodiak bear or something. That's a deep cut to some
there you go.
Kodiak bear. That goes back to that creative writing teacher that told me to become a writer.
There you go. Just for fun, bonus question, just curiosity, because we have talked a little bit about vampires. You've talked about Anne Rice. Do you have a favorite vampire? Book or movie, doesn't matter.
Do I?
Beyond Bram Stoker. Okay, we'll leave the classic out.
But I got a cough and I'm trying to hit the mute button. No, where's my mouse?
Like I was just about to mute you for.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. My allergies are really bad at night right now. Oh my gosh. I hate it when I can never pick a favorite band. Really, I can never pick a favorite movie, really, or TV show, because to me, it's all categories. You know, I can't just pick one. There's so many. It's different. There's a different vampire for all seasons. Okay. There's a different vampire for all feelings. But let's see. It's not Lestat. I know that because Lestat's like, dude, what you just did, that is so gross. I can't get down with that. Maybe Pandora from Anne Rice's books,
okay.
or Akasha. That's her name. Akasha from Christopher Pike's Last Vampire. She was just cool. She was cool and she was sexy and she was powerful and confident, yet she had all these deep emotions, and it just she's dope.
And what about on the big screen?
On the big screen, Megan, never, ever, ever,
I
ever suggest
I already corrected that one. I'm like,
my vampires do
wrong
not
nurses.
sparkle.
Wrong one.
My vampires follow the 3 F's. They fight and they feed. So, and they burn up in sunlight.
I'm like, I told her which one.
On the big screen, like movie vampire.
Or TV, up to you. Silver or
Well, Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, David Boreanaz.
He's a good guy.
Hot. I was literally just watching Angel when we started. Like, I'm looking at Doyle's face right now. But yeah, I love Angel. I love Buffy. I love Spike. I love Drusilla. Drusilla may top Angel because she's so batty. She's so absolutely fried out of her mind. And the way she talks is just so, we're going to take over the world now. Daddy doesn't want to play. She's
funny.
So funny.
I can't help it. I just can't help but laugh. That's just funny.
I'd say my vampires are a really good mix of Anne Rice and Buffy.
Yeah. I have to admit, this has been really wonderful reading Dracula with the Red 5 reading and going back to visit that time period. I feel like now as an adult, because I recognize a lot more, feel a lot more, I've had more experiences, and then going, wow, they had some real Victorian smut, and that was the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Like, technically, that was big, people. Okay, I know it's nothing in the amounts that we're used to, but like Victorian smut people, I can't believe I'm going to say
here's the misunderstanding about the Victorian era.
Okay,
they were still doing it. They were still dirty little birdies. They were just a bit more quiet about it. They were way more discreet. Okay. Don't listen. You may or may not want to Google what a Victorian woman did when she had a headache.
I might want to.
You know what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Do it.
Go ahead.
Just do it. It's a
little history lesson for you. No, don't do it live. Don't do it live. Don't let the nice.
I'm pretty sure my face will be like.
It wasn't just for headaches. It was also for hysteria or depression or whatever feminine issues arose that, oh, we don't understand the woman body. Study it. Why would we do that? Yeah. So, yeah, check that. Yeah.
I'm like both a little scared and kind of like, I think I might know, but I'm kind of like,
oh, there was a prescription and everything.
I am sure there was. Oh man. But yeah, this Dracula has definitely been enlightening and very I don't know. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate because Bram Stoker was a pioneer at that point. All that writing was pioneering at that point to lead up to what we have now.
Oh, it absolutely was. And all because Bram Stoker stayed the night.
Monetized anyway, so we're good. I'm okay. This is for fun. I ever get monetized, that'd be great. If we ever get monetized, that'd be great.
Boy.
But more her first because I'm just here for fun. So, I'm sorry, you were saying.
Oh. No. I'm good. Dracula all started just because he stayed the night in the castle. Mm-hmm. And he was like, this is kind of creepy. Mm-hmm. Gotta write a book.
Mm-hmm.
But Bram Stoker, he started the romance, like up until Bram Stoker, vampires were just snarling zombie-like things. Mm-hmm. Zombies and vampires are virtually the same thing. And they absolutely were up until Bram Stoker. And when Bram Stoker came around, that started what we call the romantic era, romantic vampires. And we didn't get an evolution on that until Anne Rice in 1976. So there's that information.
There you go. All right, Danny. Well, where can everybody find you on social media, and what is coming up next?
Boy, where can't you find me on social media? Because I'm on Twix, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, Patreon, IMDb now. Okay. All you have to do is type in Comics And. If you're on YouTube, it's at Comics And Everything. We'll probably just start working that name into everything because Bo's being annoying about it. I'm on every single platform you can find. I go live once a week on Facebook. Oh yeah, I'm on Kick too. Kick and Twitch. I go live every week on Facebook, Kick, YouTube, Twix, and TikTok. Right now we're watching Agatha All Along, which ends this coming Wednesday. 2-episode ending.
Do you think season 2?
Probably not. No, it's limited series. The actor.
Wait. No. Actually, technically, hold up. Technically, yes, we are. Because we got WandaVision, we're getting Agatha All Along, and then we're getting Vision.
Oh, you want to hear something cool?
Yes, please share. Please share. I love
Okay, so
I love tea.
This is Terry Matalas, who is the showrunner for the Vision series, follows me on Instagram. And when I saw that they're supposed to start shooting this summer and that they're casting and all this other stuff, I posted it and I tagged him. I was like, hey, Terry, can you confirm or deny any of this, or will Marvel burn you at the stake? And he DM'd me and he said, what's a Vision Quest?
What's a Vision Quest?
Well, they were calling it Vision Quest. So they're not calling it Vision Quest. I think they're not calling it that. But yes, they're doing all those things.
So technically
it's all spin-offs from WandaVision anyway.
Right.
So but
those 3 it's a trilogy in itself.
Right. So listen, Marvel fans, get you a Star Trek fan, okay? Because they're going to tell you how you just hit the lottery. You just hit the numbers with Terry Matalas running that show. That man is a freaking genius. Star Trek Picard season 3 not only revived a dead series, but revived the entire franchise. He did something that Star Wars has not been able to do, that Marvel has not been able to do, that no other IP has been able to do. I mean, it's a perfect season. Absolutely perfect season. If we'd had him running it for all 3 seasons, it would have been a totally different story. We'd probably still have seasons of it, but he is so good at what he does. He did 12 Monkeys, the series on the Sci-Fi Channel. Todd Stashwick, Kirk Acevedo was in that. Oh, and Aaron, what's his face, who played Pyro in the X-Men movies and in Deadpool Wolverine. He was the lead in that show. Terry is a brilliant writer. He is incredibly creative and dedicated and respects source material. So you are in for an absolute treat. And as soon as Marvel gives me the go ahead, he will be on the show. But you can follow me and Terry on Instagram. You can follow Facebook, everywhere. I'm absolutely everywhere. Just type in, if on any platform, type in the name. I'm there. YouTube, I just dropped a new video yesterday. It's about The Crow. I read the graphic novel and I'm very disappointed in myself because I never read it before. This was my first time reading it.
Mhm.
So I break down the entire graphic novel while comparing it to the Brandon Lee movie in 1994, which is an absolute classic and a Gen X must, and to the recent Crow movie starring Bill Skarsgård. I compare it to both of them while breaking the whole thing down. Spoiler alert: Bill Skarsgård's movie is absolute trash. But and it's very insulting to the author of The Crow. I mean, it's absolutely disgustingly insulting. And if you want to know why, you're just gonna have to watch the video.
There you go. And watch Danny's old videos too. You might see a familiar face. As well as some really good, if you like comics and are up for some cosmetics, I'm going to tell you, she's got some great tips. But let me tell you, you're not going to be focusing on the makeup. You're going to be focusing on what she's saying in regards to whatever character she is breaking down. And it just works. I miss those.
Maybe I
love those.
Maybe I should break down my book, like tell a story.
You could give you an option.
Just read the book, like sit in my easy chair over there. I'm like, hello. Welcome to story time.
My name's Danny of Comics and Everything. This is my book, Vampire Slayer.
I'm going to have a problem if and when I write the second book, because I'm not Danny Camden anymore, and I refuse to use that man's name again. No. So
you're Danny Sanchez.
Sanssouci.
Sanssouci. My bad.
All S.
Wonder Woman. My nerd sister. That's her.
Yes, that works too.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a very wonderful night, and I agree with
thank you,
Megan. This has been fun for the laughs and insight. I agree. Definitely. There were definitely some moments I'm like, I just learned something else. We're just more closer than we realized. So it's just been so much fun. So thank you
for having me.
For returning to On the Fives. This has been fun. Next month, November 5th, I am still going to go live. I don't care. I know it's election day, but everybody, at least somebody is going to want like a little few minutes away from the news.
God. So I'm so terrified. I want it over with. I want it to be over quietly.
Right. And I don't want to talk politics because I'm not.
No.
However, I'm still going to go live because one, it is my 1 year anniversary.
Yay!
Of On the Fives. Two, I want to I'm not going to turn on my TV. So, if I am, I'm going to use my apps. I'm going to stream. I'm not turning on any of that. My regular TV is not getting turned on. Not for me. I might not even hardly be on social media except to say, hey, guess who's got a show today? Yeah. Yes, exactly. This is what I want. I want to give myself and everybody else a break that day if they choose to. My cats can come join me because Miss Alphaba, she likes to come visit once in a while. So, oh, look at you. She's all like happy. You guys can't see that her little tail was all happy. So again, for those who are listening, On the Fives, Dracula, we're finishing it up. And next month we're going to start skipping Christmas. I'm excited for that one because I've never read it and I've been wanting to read it and I'm excited to read it with everybody else. And I will be announcing after the show who won the actual giveaway. Hi, you gonna come say hi? Now where's Tiny? We need Tiny.
Oh, he's pouting because his dad's at work.
Want to do a stream marathon stream? I don't know. We'll see. I can only talk for myself. So, yeah. Anyhow. All right. Well, this has been fun. Thank you again for everybody for listening. And I will see everybody the next time on the Fives. Bye. If I can get things to work. That's how it goes.